Fanhunter Urban Warfare is a game by David Esbury. It's for 2 players, takes about 45 minutes for ages 14 plus. Now Fanhunter is set in a world where the evil tyrant Pope Alejo has banned all forms of entertainment and culture with the aim of boring us to death. But obviously there is a resistance movement. The people who have learned how to fight back through comic books and action movies. This is the revolution of the nerds. So, let's see how we play this miniatures game. In this scenario, the Resistance and the Fanhunters are both trying to get to the comic book in the middle of the board, pick it up and carry it back to their starting zone. At the end of 3 rounds, whoever has the comic book closest to their deployment zone will win the scenario. In each scenario of Fanhunter Urban Warfare, you'll have a number of units on the board. As this is the introductory scenario, each side just has 1 unit on the board. For the Resistance, we have cross-trainers with a sergeant, and for the Fanhunters, we have assault Fanhunters with a sergeant. In each scenario of Fanhunter Urban Warfare, you have a number of units on the board. As this is the introductory scenario, we simply have 1 unit for each team. 1 for the Resistance, 1 for Fanhunters. For each unit in your scenario, you take 1 token. A game round involves selecting randomly each token in turn, which tells you which side is allowed to have the next action. In this case, a Resistance token came out of the cup, so the Resistance have the first turn. You can see the Resistance are hiding here behind a truck. When a unit is activated, each miniature, each character has 2 actions. One of those actions will always be a movement action, and the other is a general action where they can take a number of different things. They can shoot, they can close combat attack, they can run for another movement action, they can search to try and find items. There are lots of things you can do with that general action. But we'll start with movement. On the character board, the cross-trainers, these Resistance fighters, have 4 movement, which means they can move 4 spaces. In Fanhunter Urban Warfare, you can move any adjacent square, including diagonally, for only 1 movement. So let's start with this Resistance cross-trainer. He can move 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally, he would take a second action at this point, but if we look on his card, he has no ranged attack, and there's no one close enough for him to melee attack, so he will forfeit his second action. Then we move the second character. On the board, we can see there is a truck. The truck is difficult terrain. To move onto difficult terrain costs 1 extra movement action. So normally, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 to move. However, the Resistance cross-trainers have a universal ability on their card, Parkour, which allows them to cross difficult terrain without spending extra action points. They're really good at charging at the enemy. So in this case, he is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, there's nothing he can do in terms of attacking because he's got no gun, so he too will give up his second action. The third guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. No one to shoot. And then finally the sergeant. The sergeant can move 5 spaces, but he doesn't have parkour, so it's more difficult for him to move across the truck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sergeant does have a ranged weapon. On his card we can see he rolls 3 dice, he hits on a 2+, and he has an effective range of 5. The first thing you have to do when you are trying to make a ranged attack is check for line of sight. Can my character actually see what he's trying to shoot? To do this, you need to draw an imaginary line from any corner of the square to any corner of the enemy's square. In this case, because we can draw an imaginary line to this corner, the sergeant can see this Fanhunter, so he can shoot at him. For the next turn, the Fanhunters are going to move forward and shoot, but we've already seen that, so we're going to skip ahead to this first turn of the second round as the Resistance fight against the Fanhunters again. So the Fanhunters have just had their first turn. They have moved into the map. you can see that because they're a unit, they can't get too far apart from each other. Characters in a unit can be at most 3 squares apart from each other. So in this case, these guys are only 2 squares away, and these guys are 2 squares away. So this unit has coherency. If this guy had finished here, it would be an illegal move because he's too far apart from the rest of his unit. Also, in the Fanhunters' turn, they've killed one of the resistance miniatures. So now we start round 2. And again, we have the 2 tokens in the cup. We pull one out, and it's the resistance has the first turn again. So the first resistance cross-trainer moves towards this guy. As soon as you're within 1 square of another character, you're in that character's zone of control and your movement is finished. But he still has his general action and he's going to use that to attack. If we look on his sheet, he rolls 3 dice and he hits on a 3+. However, the Fanhunter still has armor, which raises this attack threshold to a 4+. So we roll the 3 dice. Okay, he's got 2 5s and a 3. A 3 is not high enough because of the Fanhunter's armor, but he has a replica of Hattori Hanzo's sword, which allows him to re-roll 1 failure. So he re-rolls, and this time he gets another 5. Great, so he has 3 successes. The Fanhunter rolls 3 dice and is saved on a 4+. So he rolls his 3 dice, and in this case, he's got 1 6, but a 3 and a 1, which means there's more successes for the resistance. He takes a wound. This guy only has 1 wound, so he is gone. Great. Now, the next cross-trainer will take his action. He needs to move avoiding the zone of control of this Fanhunter. So he takes 1, 2, 3, 4. And now he engages with the Fanhunter Sergeant. Exactly the same process. 3 dice hitting on a 4+ because of the armor. He's got the sword as well, so even though he got some failures, he has 2 successes. The Fanhunter Sergeant is safe on a 3+. He's a little bit tougher than his friends. So he rolls 3 dice. But unfortunately for him, he has no successes, which means the resistance has got more successes, so he gives a wound. However, the Fanhunter Sergeant is a hero, which means he can take more than 1 hit and keep standing. On his character sheet, we see he has 2 wounds. So the 1 hit from the resistance cross-trainer gives him 1 wound. If he is hit again, then he will die. But for now, he's still in the game. So this is the basics of how you play Fanhunter Urban Warfare. As you delve into the story of the 8-mission campaign that comes with it, you will find all kinds of depth and mechanics, all sorts of things that you're going to use as you play. Tokens, tiles, other miniatures. But for now, this is all you need to get started.